Yeah, it won't work from my. I'm wondering if, yeah, see if you can log
What do I
on
do?
to Zoom. Just go to Zoom.
Google, Zoom.
Yeah.
I
It's
was
like,
able to get in through the web browser, so I had some problems too, but then I was able to get in.
Hey man, sign in what?
so how did you, what did you
What's
do?
the email address?
So if you tried to hit the link, it didn't work, but then if you went
Yeah.
into, it said open in web browser, then I was able to get in.
I wonder if others are going to have trouble too, though, Jim.
Yeah.
He's on TV.
Yeah, I can hear you on TV. Okay, Kev, hold on. I'm going to give you the code. So here's the meeting ID.
Do I have to do this?
Let me see.
Do I have to put my password and stuff in?
Do you have it for Zoom?
I can do Zoom.
Someone's working on this issue to fix it right now.
Okay. I don't think, I don't know, maybe it is. Is it supposed to have the https lol.k12? I'm wondering if that's what's, I can't take it off.
You're about on there.
I can't take it off the link. It's permanently in there. I can do this, though.
The meeting ID.
I'm going to try it over here. Hold on.
Am I the only one on Zoom?
No, I'm here.
I don't see anybody
I'm
else. I see myself. I don't see anybody else.
No.
We're hiding.
It's not like hide and seek. It's complete darkness.
I was just trying to stop, like, there was a lot of craziness going on in my house, so I was just trying to make sure it was somewhat quiet.
Now I see you. I see Mr. Rossi. I don't see anybody else.
Oh, you don't see Jackie?
I don't see Jackie.
You just go to gallery view, Mayor.
The view in the right-hand corner.
Oh, there we go. All right. I see everyone now.
Oh, good. So it is 7:05. I would like to get started if we could. I had just gotten a text, I think we all did, from Minerva. Are we ready to go? LTC? I don't know who's here from LTC.
I see an LTC icon. The three official members of this subcommittee are yourself, Ms. Martin as the chair, along with committee member Del Rossi and committee member Lay as members. It appears we have also the three of the additional members, including the mayor. It looks like we have an LTC icon. I saw an emoji pop up when you asked the question if they're available. Dr. Hall is also the admin rep, and I believe I heard our recording secretary as well. I believe I also heard the clerk speaking earlier, but I don't see Ms. Sheehan's icon unless she's the iPhone.
She is the icon.
Okay, then it appears you're all set, Madam Chair.
But I mean, this is saying Jen Myers in the IT department, I'm working on fixing the Zoom link. So I don't know if we're getting recorded or not.
It looks like you have LTC on. There's let me make sure. I will certainly check on that.
I just don't want to start if we have to, you know. Okay, we're all good. Great. Okay, thank you very much, LTC. Okay, so we can get started. I'd ask the clerk if she can call the roll, please.
Chairperson Martin,
Here.
Mr. Rossi,
Here.
Mr. Lay.
Here.
Three
Excellent.
present.
So we did have the two items on our agenda tonight. I was going to let the law department go first, just so they wouldn't have to sit through the whole thing, but I don't know if they're here represented. Jackie, you're gesticulating, but I can't hear you. Oh, okay.
I don't know if they're here either.
Oh, okay. It was very dramatic.
Oh, well, you know me.
So, Dr. Hall, do you have any information on that?
I was told that Attorney McKenna was going to be attending, but I'll check with him if you wouldn't
Okay.
mind going to the next section.
Yeah, sure. We can do the first things first. That's no problem. Trying to be nice. Okay, so our first item is the review of the goals resubmitted by the superintendent. Hoping everyone had a chance to take a look at them. I appreciate that we did have some what we were looking for, which were goals under every category that had some kind of, you know, concrete measure attached to them. But I'd leave it open if any of my colleagues have any questions or anything they'd like to revisit. Yeah, see, my part of the meeting is quick. Yes, Ms. Doherty.
I wanted to allow anybody from the subcommittee to go first. So if Mr. Rossi or Mr. Lay want to go first, I'm fine. But if not, I can just jump in. So,
Okay.
I have none.
okay.
Go right
All
ahead.
right.
Thank you. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Dominic.
So, and I wanted to start, I do have comments on the goals. So the first goal, I appreciate adding the percentage of ninth grade students who pass all courses. That the goal is to increase it from 55 to 75%, 70%, sorry. I think that is an admirable goal, and I think it will definitely speak to the overall goal of improving academics and student achievement. I do have a couple of questions about it. To understand the starting point, Dr. Boyd, how many ninth grade students are currently failing one or two classes?
So I'll have to bring you back that data. I can tell you in terms of numbers, to convert the percentages to numbers, I believe the request from the committee, as I understood it from the last, was to translate the school-based goal and just bring that up to the district level. So that's the school-based goal, is from 55 to 70. That was the work that, that's the work I did, is just to translate the school-based goal. I would have to do, I'll have to do the calculation in terms of what those numbers translate.
Great. So, I mean, we could get a number and what that percentage is, obviously would be helpful. And then in terms of what we're talking about when we say ninth grade students, we're talking about ninth grade students, not ninth grade repeaters, correct?
This is referring to ninth grade students, so students that are coded as ninth grade students.
Great.
Coded as ninth grade students.
And how are you going to accomplish this? And I guess I'll kind of preface that by saying, we're not going to tell ninth grade teachers they can't fail students, correct?
No, actually, committee members, we're not shifting the work at all here in February. So this essentially is just a restatement of the goal that's at the school level. So it's just a restatement of that goal. We're continuing with that work that's been happening since the beginning of the year. At this point, we're seeing progress. We still have some additional work to do, and obviously the second semester is critical at the ninth grade level. This is an extremely ambitious goal. It was set as a stretch target at the school level. Achieving this goal would be a significant accomplishment. Historically, this would be a historic high if we're able to achieve this goal. In most instances, in terms of goal setting, this would be considered a stretch goal. Obviously, 15 percentage point increase in one academic year is quite significant. However, the request of the committee is that we translate the school-based goal to the district level. Hence this, the assistant principal at the freshman academy has the same goal, the head of school at the high school has the same goal, and now you have it at the district level for the goal for the committee.
And I do appreciate that, Dr. Boyd. I think that we are, as the district level, the top of the pyramid. So we set the tone and the model for the school-based goal. So I think that's appropriate. Last question on this goal. Are we going to include credit recovery programs in achieving this goal? And if so, what are those programs?
Yeah, if the committee would like additional in terms of strategy, I don't have the ins and outs of all of our credit recovery programs ready to report and present on here tonight. However, what I can share with you is that this is referring to students' course grades. Credit recovery is if a student fails a course. So this is if this is the student's courses and their course grades. Credit recovery would mean they didn't earn the credit and they're in credit recovery.
Got it. Okay, thank you. So if we could move to goal 2, and you circled it. I know this one on diversity, recruiting, and hiring. It's been very important, I think, for the whole committee and the district. When we look at, to me, the bottom line in all these goals is how are they improving student learning? And we know that having diverse staff impacts our students. My only request with goal number 2 is that we would add data that compares pre-pandemic staffing with, what the movement we've made. And I think that would be helpful for everyone to see the growth we've had in diversity hiring. And that would include the number and percentage of diversity hires, retention data, as well as the number of staff participating in your Diversifying Teacher Leaders program and your affinity groups. I think those would all be important points of data that would help us to really assess how effective this initiative has been.
Sure. So certainly for the committee, I can share that data. I would caution the committee here at this time period in the year. The bulk of our hiring, we're in the midst of midterm of implementing most of these initiatives. I will tell you how we report them out, and I can certainly share those reports, but in terms of establishing an end of year goal for increasing those in certain metric form, what's shared here in this goal is the request from Committee Member Thompson that we include the training metric. The training metric has been applied. That certainly makes sense in terms of this time of year because we're getting ready to enter the spring hiring season. So the training goal as our hiring managers enter the hiring season, but in terms of outcome measures for hiring that has either previously taken place or going into next year that won't have been accomplished until the end of the hiring season prior to the next year. I don't know that the timeline works to establish those right now as it's going to be February before we even approve these goals. So you have training, the metric that's provided here is the training metric that was requested by Committee Member Thompson. I would suggest in terms of timeline and timing, that would be an appropriate and reasonable target to establish at this time period. Otherwise, I would say that we would probably look to the beginning of next year prior to the hiring season, and we can establish those. That would also have to be worked through our labor attorney's office as we work as a equal opportunity employer and making sure that the language is consistent with that language that's required of us. So I would suggest here that we hold to the metric of the training, and that I can share with you in terms of input and information as we typically do. we just gave, I believe we gave that report at the last committee meeting in terms of diversity hiring. So that would be the data that we would have, would be the data you just received last week. I wouldn't suggest that we set a hiring target mid-year in February. I would suggest that if we want to set that target, we would set that target for next year ahead of the hiring season. This is set as training for the hiring managers as they enter the hiring season.
I don't think you understand what I'm asking for. I'm not looking for you to set targets. I'm
Okay.
just looking for you to report on those aspects of it.
Certainly, yes.
The hires, the retention data, the how many teachers are participating in the Leaders program.
Okay.
You are collecting all that anyway. I just think for our purposes to have that kind of information would be meaningful, but I'm not looking for you to establish new targets. I know this is an initiative you've been working on from the beginning.
Yeah.
I'm just looking to add more data around it, more specific numbers.
Okay. Yeah, so you received that data, that presentation at the last meeting. So we'll continue to certainly provide those updates, but you've received that update at the last meeting, and that's the data that we collect.
But when we do the actual evaluation process, and I think last year we did that in the August timeline, so that would just be like recapping that data for us in a kind of like you do a report for us anyway before. So just to include the data is what I'm asking for. I'm not looking for targets.
Okay, no problem.
I think we've done very well in this area, by the way. I think it's been one of our strong suits. Sorry, and I'm going to go quickly now. Goal 3, ensuring that every school is safe and welcoming. I mean, obviously, this is a huge goal for us. I'm just looking for metrics that are really going to relate to that. When you talk about the capital improvements, like how we spend the money and work with the city to improve the buildings, that is important. But I'm looking specifically at your mental health and mental health and wellness plans. And again, looking for data-driven metrics as evidence that the mental health investment and these wellness goals are making a difference. And I had a couple of ideas of just, because I'm, looking at what about just, reducing the number of students requiring ambulance to the hospital for mental health concerns, or reducing chronic absenteeism. These are examples of student engagement, student mental health and wellness. I think, again, I'm looking for metrics. I think that's what a SMART goal has in it, the metrics. Another area would be data that demonstrates we're making progress around the reducing incidence of discrimination and bullying. And I know we've been getting regular reports on that. So, and again, it would be end of the summer, looking back on the year and being able to say, and I realize that one in particular, we're really building that program. But these are some areas I'm thinking that would be of value to us to be able to look at and say, yeah, we invested in mental health, and these are some of the outcomes that we got from that. And my last one, I don't know if you had a comment on that, but
no, I appreciate that. The one that's circled here was recommended by committee member Martin, with specific metrics around the investment in facilities and being able to make sure that we can be transparent and track those metrics for the community. So that's the one that was added here in specific, in additional terms. I can certainly take it back, and I'll continue to review it each time the committee gives guidance. The only suggestion I would provide here is the first time we discussed these was in October, and we're now heading into February. I'll continue to work at it. This is new guidance, though. I'll take it back if that be the wish of the committee, and I'll work with the departments that would that support.
I'd say, Joel, Jackie, I want you to be able to talk about your last one as well. But I just think in general, I think what Jackie is looking for is, this is just ongoing information.
Oh, okay. That's easy. Sure.
I don't think we want to build it into the evaluation at this point, because I agree. It's really, it's not good that we're having this conversation in January to begin with.
No,
so I don't think, but I do think that, again, in terms of this is information that the district has that can be reported back to us. So, I think we can do that as part of our regular business, but I wouldn't add it into the evaluation metrics at this point.
Oh, okay. That's easy enough. Easy enough to provide the data. Sure.
Okay.
And I think
your last one.
Okay, and part of it for me is that going forward, we're looking to have those kinds of metrics to measure the progress we're making. That's where I'm coming. The last one, goal 4, about in community engagement. Now we talked about, and I know we've invested a good bit of money in this idea of this Parent Leadership Institute, and parent involvement we know is proven to impact student success. We've invested in this program. How are we going to measure it? I mean, that was, I think you might recall, I was not in favor of this high pay position that we just put in place of leading this. So I'm looking for accountability that it's successful. And, you know, one of the measures might be participation, a number of parents that are involved who have number of children represented by the parents that are involved, you know, those sorts of information that we're able to say this investment is coming back and impacting student learning. And that's it for me.
Okay, and again, I think that falls into the same category of information that we're going to want to get as part of our regular reporting, but not necessarily part of this at this point.
Completely reasonable. Appreciate it. You know, appreciate it. I believe I've taken each of the guidance, all of the guidance from all of the discussions we've had. If we're talking here about, you know, the additional reporting, I think that's significant progress. So I would submit this as a report for the subcommittee, and hopefully the subcommittee wants it forwarded on for our next meeting so I can add it to the agenda tomorrow.
Yeah. Does anyone else have any other comments they'd like to make before we move on? Okay, then I'd entertain a motion to forward the superintendent's goal to our next full committee meeting next week to be officially voted on by the full committee. I take motion by Mr. Lay. Thank you. Seconded by Ms. Del Rossi. Sorry, forget who's supposed to be here. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Wonderful. So that'll go forward at our next meeting. I know that this subcommittee will be on the agenda for the next meeting, so we'll be able to ask for that vote at that time. Okay, and then our second topic, Mr. McKenna, thank you for joining us, would be the results of the law department's work in finding an outside counsel for the HR investigation. Floor is yours.
Thank you, Chairman Martin. Unfortunately, since we met last, I was out 2 weeks with COVID, so I wasn't able to advance that look for the outside counsel. We have a new city solicitor who was appointed. Lane Tomlinson was appointed in January. She wasn't able to join the meeting tonight. She had something happen at her house, a water break of some sort, but she'll be available moving forward. We had interviewed 3 out of the 4 people. 2 people had been listed. One of the people on the list was the outside counsel, Gwen King, who handled the Kafawi case and is now working on another case for the city. So she recommended 2 other people in case she couldn't be outside counsel and be outside counsel on something else. So we interviewed them, and the other person was the other person named by the solicitor. I think it was Doug from Foley and Hogue. And I wasn't able to contact him before January 4th. And then I was working to set that up with the new solicitor. Then I got sick. I tested positive for COVID after Martin Luther King on Tuesday, the 13th, I think it was. So I was out all last week and just coming back now. So I'm going to update the city solicitor on this matter. Then the biggest thing would be a scope of what the scope of the investigation would be. Is what the people that we did interview, they were asking about what was the full scope of the investigation, how far you wanted to look into it, and if there was any underlying complaints that had been filed with regards to these matters. And unfortunately for me, I didn't have any information from the solicitor. She was the one who interviewed him, and then Helen Anderson left. But the former city solicitor is available for any information that she could add with regards to that. But that's the area that we're at now. So I'm going to update the city solicitor on this tomorrow morning. So if you guys want to put us on for another status update at your next subcommittee meeting, or whatever you wish to do, Madam Chair, but that's the update on that at this point.
Okay. What I'm going to recommend, Mr. McKenna, is that we plan to reconvene? I mean, again, this is, the timing on this is important. So what I'd like to recommend is that we reconvene the subcommittee on, if we can, Monday, the 23rd. That's the soonest possible. What I think might make the most sense would be to have the solicitor join us to be able to update us. It would be, I think, particularly helpful if the final interview would have happened by that point, so we'll have that information. And then I think we'd be able to carve out the scope. But I really don't want to get into the scope until we have the at least who the real candidates are for this.
Okay, we can give you the candidates, and then before we can make a recommendation, the scope would be important. So I can give you the name of the other candidate, and we'll interview him next week, as you suggest, and report back to you. Well, I don't understand why you're shaking your head. Is that not?
No, I'm looking at my calendar. I'm
Oh,
sorry, I'm
okay.
looking at my calendar.
So,
wasn't an
yeah, Madam
editorial
Chair, whatever we
comment.
can do to get it advanced, we'll contact him. As soon as tomorrow, I'll contact him and
Okay.
speak with the solicitor. She was invited to this meeting whenever it sent over the invitation. Something happened at her house today, she wasn't in. She'd take care of that matter. And so we'll advance this as quickly as we can.
Okay. I mean, I think that's the best we can do at this point, so I think that's fine. It is gonna run over, so we've got, what other subcommittees do we have scheduled already on Monday?
We have
We have two
subcommittees,
subcommittees.
5:30 and 6:30.
That is why I was shaking my head, John.
Right.
Oh, yeah, I understand. Believe me, my calendar's running full these days too.
Yeah.
We're getting there. We're slowly pecking away at it.
Yeah.
Could I?
Go
Madam
ahead.
Chair?
Yep, go right ahead.
I think we've lost a month
Uh,
waiting for the law office to give us a handful of recommendations. Ultimately, it is our authority to hire an attorney and proceed forward. I don't know why we would continue to have scheduled subcommittee meetings. We should just do a request for proposal and have interested firms reach out to us directly, either through the personnel subcommittee or, I mean, we've literally lost a month. We met 2 weeks ago and Mr. McKenna didn't have the list with him. He only, he remembered Gwen King and the other one was Fogue and Hole. I don't know the name of that firm, I'm sorry.
That's correct.
And he said, oh, I'll have it for you at the end of the week. And then couple of weeks went by and now we still don't have a list of attorneys. Now I reached out to Mass Association of School Committee. I mean, we can get attorneys recommended, or we could just do an RFP and people could put their interest in and give us a page of how they, what their qualifications are.
Mhm.
And we could make that vote at our next meeting on Wednesday. We're going to try to fit a subcommittee in Monday night and get 4 names? I'm just frustrated because I think it's been a long delay and I think we could have just moved forward on our own.
Well, the question is, so moving forward on our own means that the committee, a member of the committee would need to develop to have the scope of services, because you can't do an RFP without that. So, I mean, I'm more than willing to work on it, but.
But we know we've had internal complaints. We have the email.
That's not a scope of services, Jackie. Knowing that there are complaints. I mean,
to investigate the initial complaints that came forward would be the initial scope. No?
I think it needs to be a little more complicated than that, because I think we'd need to be able to lay out what documentation they're going to have access to. I think you need to kind of get into a little more detail than that. But I share your frustration. I mean,
when you think about, never mind the resignation of the city solicitor in October, then the first assistant, they ended in November. Then also the only other person that was involved in this was Helen Anderson. She resigned to take a post in Boston. And then Mark Jorgensen, he resigned. His wife is having a baby and he moved back to Pennsylvania. So we had a staff too. It was myself and Alethea. And then on January 4th, the new solicitor came on board. And this is, the law department in Lowell is a very busy office that is very unique. And you take several different areas of the law and you can't just, you're not just a labor lawyer up there. There's all kinds of different matters that come in that door. all times of the day. And we try to give them all our utmost attention. This matter is unique in that the city solicitor left an email, which was very vague on the way out. We want to make sure it gets its due attention. Then on top of that, I have been going through this COVID for 2 years, and this is the first time I caught it, which is just unbelievable. And I was out for a week and a half. I'm just getting back now. So like it just, you know, I understand your frustration, but there is no, you know, it was not done with any intent to delay or push along or kick the can down the road. But the scope of services is important because I don't have a lot of information. I don't have an underlying complaint or anything to give these people to say what they're investigating, so they don't know how long it's going to take, what it's going to entail. So the scope of services is very important. So I think a follow-up would be best. We have the new solicitor started, so I can brief her tomorrow when I see her and then get back to the school committee or whatever the, you know, you guys wish, but we're here to help you. I understand your frustration, but it's a very unique matter at a very unique time.
And I understand the perfect storm, John. I mean, I understand that. So here's what I would recommend. John, could you send me a template for a scope of services?
Sure, I could do that.
What I think would
Send
probably
that through
be-
Minerva, through the superintendent's office?
Yeah, to Minerva, and she can share it with the subcommittee and any of the rest of the committee who are interested in seeing a template of it. What I'd probably recommend then is, at the very least, at Monday, a 5-minute session to get the update on the 4 attorneys that you've interviewed so far. I mean,
Okay.
like 10 minutes.
Sure.
And then once I've had a chance to take a look at the scope of services and we've all had a chance to kind of look at what it entails, what I'd recommend is that then we can, perhaps at that meeting, we can take a step forward with one of the presented attorneys, but at the very least, we can kind of look at that template and be able to determine how we want to kind of create that and craft that.
Connie,
Yep.
I think that you would have trouble having it on Monday because the 48 hours.
But today's Thursday.
Yes, but it has to be posted so you can't count the weekend.
Okay, I love this job.
That's why, like, the council does theirs on Friday for Tuesday.
Yeah. Okay, so as I'm looking, there's nothing
Madam
scheduled on
Chairperson?
Tuesday. Yep.
If I could interrupt, maybe we would not, if I could make a recommendation, not adjourn this meeting, continue, so we could continue on Monday. So you won't have to post it. Would that work legally, Mr. McKenna? If we don't adjourn the
Check
meeting.
with the recording secretary. I think if you continued it, it's you're talking about the same matter. That's very creative. What do you think, Attorney Hall?
I would defer to the solicitor's office on that.
Now, what is the recording secretary? You ever done that before? Continue the subcommittee meeting to a time certain without
We
notification?
generally don't do that with subcommittees, but I don't know why you couldn't recess and then just start the meeting again on Monday.
Yeah, so we'll recess the meeting tonight and
I don't
then,
have an objection to that. It's done in a public forum and it's a continuation of the same conversation. From the solicitor's office, in my opinion, I don't have an objection to that.
okay. So then I think that's our best course of action. So I'd say we should have a motion to recess this meeting and reconvene on the same topic Monday evening. And I would leave it to pick the time. Yes, Jackie.
I just wanted to let you know that meeting on those 2 subcommittees are meeting in person. The first one is 5:30 to 6:30. The second one is 6:30 to 7:30 if it goes that long. So we would have to.
Want to do it before the 5:30 meeting?
We might have a
10-minute
problem with
presentation at
attendance.
like 5:20?
I could be there before that. I don't
could
know.
be there too. Stacy, I know you have,
Stacy's saying
that okay?
yes.
Okay.
So let's say 5 o'clock. We'll reconvene at 5 o'clock on Monday. I can make that work, but
I can
I'm
make
not.
that work.
Can we-
Dominic, is that?
Yeah, that might be an issue for me. Can we do it after the second meeting?
No, we're talking 7:30 at night.
Yeah, because we are going to have start at 5:30, a meeting starting at 5:30, and another meeting starting at 6:30. And so whatever time we take for the second meeting, we just continue, start this meeting right after that meeting.
For me, I get out of work at 5 o'clock. I'd rather do it right at 5 o'clock to 5:20 and get it over with. I don't have to come back at 7:30 to the city and then have to come back Tuesday for a council meeting as well. That'd add several hours to my work week. I'm available before 5:30 if you want, or if you need me to go on the end, I will, but that'd be very inconvenient for me.
No,
Madam Chair, whatever's easy for you, if you gotta make it work. So I don't know if the mayor can make it that soon after 5, so whatever you need to do, I'll do it.
Maybe
I'll do it later if I have to. I'll come back if I have to.
so maybe this is a Zoom meeting and it's a continuation. If it works well for everybody, continue this meeting by Zoom. So it's just to have the continuity. And so more convenient for people to make it for 10, 15.
It'd be a lot easier to meet at 7:30 than having to go back to Lowell to do a meeting.
But we'll be
person.
in the chamber.
We'll already be there, but maybe he can zoom in.
Yeah.
You can Zoom in the chamber.
I will do my
I'll
best.
be there at the beginning of the meeting. If we can do it at the beginning of the meeting, great. If we can't do it, then I'll Zoom in later. If I can't wait around, or maybe I have other work I can do till then, I'll talk to the solicitor. We'll make it work.
Oh, yeah, because I think you're asking the solicitor to come on Monday, or were you gonna do it?
Well, I think I'm gonna work with her. I'm not certainly gonna abandon her on it. I'm gonna work with her, carry her through whatever we can until she's ready to go on her own, but,
Dominic, are you thinking that you could be
I was
there at
planning on being
5?
both of us.
I will be there after 5, but you do have a majority anyway. Is that right, Madam Chair?
If Eileen can be there.
Eileen can do that at 5, and when you come, we'll just catch you up. If you're not
And
there right at 5.
Like you said,
Yeah.
5:15 too, we could do it, should,
Well,
like you
I don't
said.
know if I want to cut
Fine.
it that close, because we have a pretty full agenda and we only have an hour. Policies at 5:30, so if we could do 5,
I think
and
we
we have a
should do
little more
5.
time.
I think 5 seems like the most reasonable.
That's
right?
fine by me.
There you go. Okay.
What the 5
Thank
o'clock
you,
be
Madam
Zoom?
Chair.
You
Okay.
can
No, it'll
zoom
be,
in.
we're all gonna be in person, but if you'd want to zoom in, you still could, Sakari.
Okay, so I mean, I'm talking about just considering Dominic. Dominic, would you be able to join by Zoom at 5?
I will be on the road, so I'm not sure. I will try to make it work, but
Yeah,
but just
and the
don't
same with
count.
me.
I'm
And if
not-
he can't make it, I think everybody should be there. I'll wait till after the last session and I'll update you at the end of that. So if he can't make it, but I don't want you to rush, I'll be there. And I'll be there at that later time if need be. So we'll make it happen.
I misunderstand. Are we still
If you
meeting
can
at-
make it there earlier, fine, but if you can't make it there before the 5:30, then, I think it's important that everybody be there. I'll wait till after the sessions and come in at that time. I just want to make sure that, trying to make everybody be there. That's all.
But we really need to decide that now, because we have to. So I'll do
So
whatever.
Dominic, we can defer, whichever you think is most reasonable.
Most reasonable for me would be, we will meet after.
Okay, that's fine.
After-
And that's what we'll do. That's perfectly
I'll
fine.
make arrangements.
So,
Thank you,
thank you very much,
Mr.
Mr. McKenna. I really appreciate you being flexible on that. I can
Thank you.
understand the,
No problem.
Inconvenience
I'll
of
be
that.
there.
okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, so then, I'd entertain a motion by a member of the subcommittee, Ms. Del Rossi, to recess our meeting and reconvene at 7:30 on Monday evening. Seconded by Mr. Lay.
Second, yeah.
Excellent, thank you. All those in favor say aye. Aye. There you go. Motion to adjourn by Mr. Lay, seconded by Ms. Del Rossi.
We're
All
not
those in
adjourning,
favor?
Connie. We recess.
We
We recessed, I'm
recessed.
sorry. Oh my God, okay. You're right. Gotta go. Then we're all set. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Have a great night.